Hi, it's Dee from Crafty Me Creations. Today we're going to be continuing our series on how to make a over-the-top bow. And here's one I have just to show you inspiration. Different kinds of embellishments. What we're going to be working on today is this inner twisted boutique bow. Going to show you how to make that in a couple different ways that you can wrap it and cinch it. Anyway, so that's what we're working on. So I'll show you what you need as far as supplies. You're going to need something to measure your ribbon. I use 20 inches of ribbon for my my inner twisted boutique bow. But you know, there's, depending on the size bow that you want to end up with, you have different ribbon measurements. And I'll leave something below letting you know, like a chart, to let you know the different measurements for different size bows. So mine usually end up being about 5.5 inches in width. So the 20 inches. So what I do is I've got my ribbon already cut, but I use two 20-inch lengths of grosgrain ribbon. So that's that. And you're going to need a length of thread of some sort. You want something very strong. I prefer to use embroidery floss or upholstery thread. Today I have embroidery floss. And then you can also sew your bow if you want to. I may actually hit on that as well. I'm not sure. We'll see if we have time. Anyway, so needle and thread if you choose to sew. You'll need something to heat seal with, and you'll need a salon clip, and then obviously you'll need scissors. And we won't be using the glue gun for this part. So, but anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, I've got two 20-inch lengths of grosgrain ribbon. I have just a plain red for my inner. And then this is going to be my outer one. It's got a little piece of glitter on it, which I just love. Think it's cute. Okay, so I line up the ends. And first, we're going to heat seal. And so I like to line up the ends of the ribbon on one end of it and heat seal those ends together. And then I just pinch them. And what that does is it makes your ribbon stick together. So when you're doing a double ribbon, that kind of keeps it, from your ribbon from getting a little bump in it or whatever. So anyway, so once I've done that, then I will, let me go ahead and face this down so you guys can see the table. Okay, so then, let me adjust it a little bit more. Okay, so then I fold it in half and find my middle and give it a little bit of a pinch, but I like to just get a little heat on it and pinch it, and then that gives me a nice fold that I'm not likely to lose. So, all right, so then we're going to heat seal the other end, and I don't seal those two together. That way, if I have, that bunched up ribbon, I have a place to, oops, I have a place to let that ribbon go. So, gosh, I'm having trouble with this today. All right, okay, so that's ready. Okay, so we're just going to do a figure-8 fold, just a very basic fold. And so I just want to make sure that my ribbons are kind of tight together. All right, so here's my center. I'm going to take this end, and I'm going to bring it around and place it here. So did everyone see what I did? Let me try it this way so you can see a little better how I'm doing it. Okay, so I've got the end of it, and I'm just going to bring it around and set it right there in the middle. So I've got a loop that looks like this. Okay, got to straighten it out a little bit. And see, I got a little bit wonky there. Okay, all right, and then with the other end, you're going to, again, straighten out your ribbons. Make sure that they're flat together. Okay, then I'm going to bring this end and place it on top of that one, again, right in the middle. So this one's got a little bit of a bump in it. You just kind of want to ease that on out of there. There we go. Okay, so this is what you're going to end up with. It's going to look like an 8. So you've got your 2 loops there, looks like an 8. Okay, so then the next thing, I'm going to lay it back down here. Next thing you want to do is you want to, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot a step. What I like to do is hold it up like this and put my finger in the loops and make sure that those loops are even so that I make sure that it's, you know, lined up properly. Okay, so then lay it back down. Then you want to take this loop and pull it kind of taut to make sure that you're in the middle. And then you're going to bring that one down and just set it right in the middle of the bow, or, you know, the little X. Do again, same thing with the other side. And I like for my back ribbons to sit directly on top of each other so that they're like that. But if you choose, you can have them a little bit off center or however you want to do it. The main thing you want to make sure of is that you do not bring it past this little V right here. You don't want any ribbon sticking up out of it right there. So however you choose to do it, it's entirely up to you. All right, so this is what it's going to look like on the other side. Okay, now you want to take your salon clip and go ahead and clip your bow on there. So you got it on like this. Okay, all right. One of the things you want to check and make sure of, which, you know, right now it's not uber important because, you know, we're going to be manipulating the bow. So, but you want to make sure that your back ribbons are lined up straight before you're ready to cinch and everything. Okay, so you've got your bow on here like this, and what you want to do is where the salon clip's holding it, it's not going to, you know, necessarily come apart. But what you want to do is take these bows, because I like a really loopy bow, or take these pieces of ribbon, your loops, and you can manipulate them, move them back and forth, oops, and make them loopier. So you just play with it until you get it to where you want it, and I'm just going to set it down here in front of me and be able to pull on it. Hopefully you can see kind of what I'm doing. So you see I'm just very slightly pulling the ribbons so that they're a little more loopy. And again, I'm going to make sure that my back ribbon is straight. Alright, kind of happy with that. Okay, and then what I like to do also is I put it on the back of my hand like this, and that kind of lets me know, you know, kind of how loopy my loops are going to be. So, there's that. Alright, let me take a look one more time just to make sure that it's where I want it. This one's a little bit funky down here. Let me straighten that out. My back's a little crooked, which could be why that one is being a little funky looking. Alright. It takes a minute to kind of get this part done, but you know, it's worth it in the end because you know, you're going to have a nice TBB. So, you know, so it's worth playing with it for a few minutes. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, all right, so then the next thing that you want to do is make sure, you know, that clip is lined in the middle. All right, so then you're going to take your thread of whatever kind you have, and this is going to just be the pull cinch bow right now, and I'll show you the other kind in a little bit. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your thread and you're going to loop it through one side like that. Oops. Then you're going to take the other end of it and just stick it down through this salon clip. Oops. Like that. There you go. Okay, so you've got one little line of thread there. So then flip it over to the other side, and again you're going to take either end and we're going to go in this side and pull it around to the back again, and then we're going to take this end and do the same, put it through and tug it back around to the back. Now at this point you don't want to tug anything tightly, but you just want to make sure that it's taut. You just want to make sure that it's not like real loose or anything. Okay, so what you're going to have here is two, well, you're going to have your little straight one there, and then what you're going to do is take this and you're going to tie a very loose knot. Nothing tight, tight, tight. Okay? Then you just take it down to the bottom. And again, we're not being tight yet. Okay? So what you want to do then is probably loop this around your fingers so that you do have a tight pull on it, or so that you will be able to pull it tightly. Okay? And when you're ready, all you do is give it a real big tight pull. Just a real big pull. So ready? Alright, so I pulled it. Okay, now what you got to do is figure out how to manipulate and put a finger on it to hold it. Then you can loop that through there and make a knot. So now your bow's not going to go anywhere. Your cinch is there. And you can remove the clip, and then I like to knot it a couple more times just to make sure that I have a good tight knot on there. You want your thread to be really tight. You want your cinch to be tight in order for your bow for your loops to stay where they need to be. So this is what I've got just by cinching. Okay, so this is my back where my ribbon goes straight across. This is my front where I have that X. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I like to pop the loops towards the front, and then I like to just kind of mash my middle. It just kind of straightens things out, in my opinion, and helps me to get that nice sort of flattened area in the middle of my bow. I'm all over the place here. Sorry, I'm trying to watch and make sure that I stay in the screen. So this is kind of what you're going to end up with. And I'm just going to tug on these a little bit, which you can tug on your loops if you need to, move them around, manipulate them, whatever you need to do to make sure that it's, that it's going to be where you want it to be the kind of bow that you want it to be. So there is my Twisted Boutique bow. Oh goodness. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. So there's my Twisted Boutique bow. And this ribbon is pretty stiff on its own because it does have the glitter on it. But I'm gonna spray it before I use it. And I just spray it with hairspray, let it dry. There's a couple different things you can do. You can like put clips on it, which you would. I don't know if I have any clips up here with me or not. Goodness sakes. Fail. Basically, you would take a little alligator clip and you would put it together, right? You want to make sure that your ribbons would be lined up like this. And you would clip your little alligator clip. I'll show you with the salon clip because it would be kind of similar. But you would, let me hold it from the bottom. So you would take your little alligator clip and you would stick it here. So you'd do one on that side, and you'd do the same thing on the other side. And obviously it would be alligator clips sticking up there. But then you can spray it like that, and then what's going to happen when it dries is it's going to help those loops stay, sort of come together with that nice little flat area that we all want to have on our TBBs. So anyway, so that's that's a way that you can do that. And so I'm going to put this one aside, and we're going to move on to the next one. And this one is going to be, I'll show you how to take it off the salon clip and fold it, as opposed to doing the pull cinch. So I've got, again, two 20-inch grosgrain ribbons. And I'm going to go ahead and heat seal these first two together. Okay, and then straighten them out, find my middle, just like last time. All of this part is completely identical. Okay, I'm going to heat seal the middle, or just heat up the middle, I guess. I'm not sealing it. Then pinch it to make my little crease there. So, okay. So once again, figure 8. Scooch some of this stuff out of the way. Alright, so bring one end this way and stick it in the middle. Oh, you know what? It just occurred to me I forgot to heat seal this in. Go ahead and do that first. Wouldn't do us to... Oh, and there's a little... Well, shucks. I am not heat sealing well today. I don't know what my deal is, but I'm just not doing well with it. Okay. Alright, so start that over again. Alright, so here is the ribbon. Let me scooch that back a smidge. And then, there we go. Okay, so we've got our ribbon here, and here's my middle. Okay, and I'm going to take the end, and I'm just going to bring it around and lay it flat right there. Okay, got a little bit of funky ribbon there, so I'm just going to straighten that out. Okay, and then this side, once again, you want to smooth those ribbons together, make sure that they're tight together, and you're just going to bring this one the opposite direction and place it also on the middle, just like that. Let me straighten out this second ribbon here. And see, that would be why we don't seal that other end together, because otherwise that bump would just be stuck there, and that's not a good thing. Okay, so now that I've got that there, I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to make sure that my loops are even. Oops, they are actually a little uneven. So I'm just going to scooch this over a smidge, and that's better. Okay, so, alright, I'm laying it back down, and then I'm going to come find the middle of this ribbon, and just bring it down and place it right in the middle there. Find the middle of the other ribbon, place it right on top of it. Okay. And then I'm going to carefully lift it up. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. There's the front, and there's the back. So I'm going to put my salon clip on it. Alright, and then I'm going to tug on the loops to get them loopier, how I like it. Just going to try to grab it with each of my fingers like this. I don't know if you all can see that any better or not. Let's see if I can do it this way. So there you go. I'm just pulling them up and down a little bit, just to get those loops a little loopier. I'm going to pull this down a little further on my clip. So they're a little loopier, and I still need to work on it a little bit. And again, that few extra seconds that you take prepping those loops really pays off in the end for your overall look of your bow. And I'm making sure my back is straight and where I want it. There we go. And then still a little bit in the front. Okay, let me check it. Alright, I'm not unhappy with this, so that's kind of what my loops are going to look like. So, okay. So now what I need to do with this is I've got a piece of thread. Oops, if I can get a hold of it. Okay, so I've got a piece of thread, and I'm going to very carefully take this out of the salon clip. I'm just going to slide the clip off. So now I've got my bow. Alright, so the X is the front, and the straight across is the back. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to fold it inward like this. Just fold it right in half. Make sure that divot is going right down the middle. So I'm doing that. Okay. Maybe. Here we go. Okay. So there's that. Okay. Now then what you want to do is you want to just take each side and flip it back in half. I don't know if you can see that very well or not. So here's my side, and I'm just going to flip it straight back like that. So that's what I'm going to end up with. So there's my middle divot, and each side is halfway back. Okay, so turn it back around here. Alright, so then the next thing, you want to make sure that you hold it tight in the middle so that that fold does not come apart like I just did. Oopsie. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Alright, so take your thread, and I try to hold it on one end, and you want to get right in the middle of the bow, and you want to start pulling that thread around, and you want to make sure that it's tight. You can't have it loose, otherwise you won't have a good fold. And the fold, again, fold in the cinch is what makes the bow work. So, all right, and then I'm going to knot it and hold it tight when you knot it. And I like to do it a couple of times just to make sure that I have a good tight knot. And then you can snip it. Okay, so this is what I've got now. All right, and again, I'm just going to pop my loops up on the front side. And actually it looks slightly like I didn't get it in the center. So what you can do is, again, fold it down just the way it was when you put the thread on it, and you can just kind of push the threads over a little bit with your finger. And let me see if you guys can see this. I'm just slightly pushing the thread over, ever so slightly. It's not going to be a whole lot of anything. It's not going to be real, I'm not going to be real aggressive with it or anything. And yes, that's much better. Okay, now it's a little more centered. Okay, so I've got my loops towards the front, and I like to take my fingers and just sort of mash the middle, and that just kind of helps me get that nice flat area there. And so let's manipulate these loops to get them where we want them. Okay, well, you can see my middle is looking really nice. See, it's got a real nice divot there, and my ends are down. So I'm going to go ahead and tug on these loops a little bit, and try to get them where I want them. And again, this one's, I need to scooch it just a little bit more. It's just still a little bit off. My loops aren't quite even. Okay, try that again. What you can also do if this kind of thing happens is you can just completely take the whole thing apart. Just snip that middle thread off and just try it again. It's not a big deal. So, anyway, this one needs to be played with probably quite a bit. Probably more time than I have, than y'all want to care to sit here and watch me play with it. Or I could just, again, take it out and do it again. Because, it doesn't always work out. But that's okay. But basically, this is, what you're going to end up with. But this is the kind of fold that you want when you do it this way. So, this one's kind of a fail. That's all right, though. You'll have those days, and that's okay. We don't mind. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this out, and I will show you how to sew it if you choose to sew your TBB. So it's a good thing this was a fail, because then we'll just show you how to do it another way. Oops, I really probably should be using a, what's the word I'm looking for? The thing that takes the stitches out. I can't think of the word. Ugh, it's failing me. I should probably drink a sip of coffee. Maybe that'll help wake me up. Seam ripper. See, coffee is magical stuff. It just suddenly brings back the memory. Yeah, you could use a seam ripper with that. That way you make sure that you're not going to harm your ribbon in any way. Okay, so I've got this ready to go again. And again, my X is in the front, and my straight part is in the back. And you know what? I'm just not real happy with how unloopy these loops are. So I'm just going to manipulate it a little bit. Okay. All right. I'm much happier with that. Okay. So what we do then is I've got a needle and thread, doubled and knotted. Okay. So what you're going to do, and this may be difficult for me because this is a lot of layers of ribbon, so bear with me. My hands don't work as well. So, all right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take, let me see if I can show you here. All right, you're going to take your needle and you're just going to come right in here where that X, or sort of valley meets right there, and you're going to poke your needle through. Then you're going to come up in about the spot that your middle would be. Oh gosh, okay. Let me grab some pliers here because I'm not going to be able to get this through there. Okay, so about that spot where if you were folding it, you would have that middle divot. Do you see where I'm going there? Okay, so then I'm going to back this out a little bit because I got it a little too far. Pull that back out. Okay, because the next spot that you want to go in at is going to be approximately where the other side of that fold is going to be. So there. Push this through a little bit. Get in there. Okay. All right. So, fantastic. I just broke my needle. Great. All right. Fine tutorial. Okay, well, it's in there where you need it to be. And then what you're going to do is come out again on that side of the valley. Okay? So your needle's going to come out about right there. That's not really straight. Let me try it again because you really kind of want it to catch both of those ribbons. That's a little bit better. Okay. So do you see where that is, where it's coming out? Okay, now if you still had the back end of your needle and thread, what you would do is you would pull this through. Let me get it through here. So like if, again, there was thread on the back of that, you would just pull it through like this, and of course the thread would stick, and then you could wrap it and wrap it and wrap it and then tie it off. But that's, the thing you're going to get with. And it's, really stronger to do it with needle and thread if you can do it. Again, I struggle with that. And I tend to wrap a lot and, really try to secure my bows, with wrapping and stuff. So, but, you can sew, and another thing you can do if you choose to wrap it the other way is, once it's got that fold in it, like right here, you can just take a needle and thread and just run it straight through there and wrap it a couple of times rather than trying to sew up and down the valley, if you want to do that and make it a little bit stronger. So anyway, that is the TBB and a couple different ways to do it. And if you have any questions or comments, please list them below. And please do like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And just, if you make one and you're following along, I would love to see what your product looks like. And, there again, if you need any help, just hit me up. And I thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next part of this video. Thank you so much.